Back with our former Tennessee defenders, Daniel Hood, Will Overstreet, J.J. Surlis, and Kevin Simon right down there. Everyone focuses on the Vols defense as the weakest link of the program. I keep reading things online. It's like, well, if they're going to get to the playoffs, it's got to be the defense has to improve. I've made the point on the show it was actually the offense that took the step back last year, not the defense. The defense looked pretty good across the SEC. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at some numbers. All right, here's where Tennessee ranked in 8 defensive categories last year. The top number is nationally. The bottom number is in the SEC. All right. Some of those, pass defense, obviously that's a question. Was a question last year, it's a question this year. Turnovers, 3rd in the SEC, 59th in the country. You're going to need to be a little better than that, I would think. But my question for you guys, is their defense the right caliber to make a playoff run? Do they have enough defense to make a playoff run, JJ?
Yes, I think you have the talent there now. You also have depth. And, we didn't have a lot of depth throughout the last few years. And so, you can run. You don't have guys wore out. You have the potential or the ability to run guys in and out. You're probably 2 or 3 deep at each position now that are competitive players. They're good athletes. They're big. They're stronger. And you got guys coming off the side, both sides of the ball. Pass rush is huge. And you got the space eaters inside now, too. So I think that the ability's there, the talent's there now, and look forward to a great year.
Let me just stop for a second. Well, this is where we're different than other television shows. The guys on the floor, which mic?
Kevin.
Kevin's mic is not on or needs to be lowered?
On.
Oh, is your mic on, Kevin? Get the little red light going there. It's big-time TV, folks. This is a different.
We are live. I just sit down and expect it all to be.
We're good now. Excellent. See, now what we could have done, other shows would have just left that mic off for the entire time, and no one would have ever known the difference. That's a waste of time. Let's just fix it. Okay. You heard JJ's take. Will, do you agree this defense is playoff caliber?
Front 7, absolutely. Right? DBs, I don't know what you got. I mean, that's the honest truth. Like, we don't know what kind of players there. Now, this team with the offense, if it takes its step up, and with the front 7, like it's going to be to get pressure on the quarterback and you get some turnovers, maybe you're good enough with that DB group. But right now, I really don't know what you have as far as DB, how big of a weakness, how big of a drop-off. Because at times it's hurt you in games. When you had DBs that came up and were supposed to be run support, they bounced off guys and let a guy take a 8-yard run for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. They cost you a game in Florida. Right, so you have some things like that you have to have from this DB group. I don't know. I don't think it has to be with the front 7 you have and the offense you have. I don't think it has to be lights out. So I'm not saying it has to go to here, but it can't be such a liability that it hurts you really bad. So, there's a fine line of how good does this group have to be, and it's got to make it in the playoffs and have any real chance. It's going to have to take a step up. And I still don't know what we have there yet to say if it's going to be that level.
Daniel, I see you nodding.
Yeah. And I think Will hit the biggest question on the head, right? We don't know what we have at DB and safety. We got a lot of guys coming in. Boo Carter. We've got the Andre Tarantine, and we've got some sophomore cornerbacks coming in. But you look at the defensive staff, and it seems like they've been able to make decisions to make that group better, right? Like anytime that I see players transfer, most of the time, especially now in the NL, it feels like most of the time they're usually forced out more than anything else. You'll get Tennessee lost Tyler Barron, who went to Ole Miss and then transferred to another school, and it makes you question the type of character that person may have had, and was he actually pushed out or did he choose to go somewhere for money, right? And I'm not saying that I know either way, but you look at things like that, and it looks like they're making the decisions to make the team better. This team doesn't have to be a top 5 nationally with the offense that they run, but they've got young talent there. And the one stat that you didn't put on there that I think was most impressive was their tackle for loss. That's a stat that Josh Heupel.
Sorry, I only put 8 up there, Daniel.
But I mean, the tackle for loss is one that this team. Yeah. This team.
Well,
really
it kind of goes along with the sacks.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. And you're talking about a team that had over 100 tackle for losses last year. That's going to help take some pressure off of those cornerbacks and safeties from not having to defend as long.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons that Tim Banks was brought in and has tried to have an aggressive defense. When you're paired with this offense, you need to put the other guy behind the sticks with big plays. You need turnovers. And that's why the turnover number, third in the SEC, there's nothing wrong with that. 59th in the country out of 130 teams. That could probably go up if they're going to make a move into the playoff caliber. Kevin, your take on the defense, and can Tennessee get in the playoff mix with that D?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that Tennessee can get into the playoffs with the defense as it is. Now, I think there's a distinction between getting into the playoff and contending for a national championship.
Right.
But I'll answer your question, John.
Yeah, I get you. There's a difference between number 12 and number 4.
Without a question. But I'm going to echo Rodney Gardner's sentiments about his defensive line. A year ago this time, he said, we're starting to have the makings of a championship-level defensive front. And now he feels like we got the pieces to go do a little damage. They're going to have to because of with the young secondary, all the moving pieces. You had 5 starters a year ago. They're all gone. You had 11 guys in that DB room a year ago that are not there anymore. So there's going to be some growing pains. Like from 22 to 23, you had all the same guys back out there on the field. They did a better job. Number one thing on the defensive side of the ball for the secondary, defend the deep area of the field. Limit explosive plays, don't give up busts, and they did a much better job of that in 23 than what they did in 22. Right. I think there may be some more growing pains just in guys understanding because defense is about understanding where your leverage is and how to use it. And some of those young guys, just the communication of it all, it's probably going to take some time, but hopefully the athleticism part and the turnover part comes along with guys like Jamon McCoy, who transferred in from Oregon State, who's pigeoned to be one of our corners, Ricky Gibson. And then you got guys in the back end. We talk about our safeties having a bunch of experience. I guess for this secondary, but Turrentine's only started one game in his career. It's the Citrus Bowl. Will Brooks has played more football than anybody else returning with the absence of Thomas. But he's a former walk-on, currently on scholarship, but he hasn't played a whole lot of football. So I think there's going to be some growing pains. Looks like Christian Harrison's going to be our starting star.
Yeah.
Him and Boo Carter have been battling for that spot. Looks like Tim Banks and those guys feel a little bit more comfortable having veterans, and that's their MO.
That's where I was going to go.
More veteran players.
Yes, that's where I was going to go. There have been some people like, why don't you play the younger guys? Because the younger guys, they may make a play, they also may bust.
Yeah.
Whereas the conservative is a little bit better with that defensive group over there. It seems that they would prefer, don't get out there and make any mistakes. Yeah, we'd love to have big plays, but let's just mind our own business at first, because it looks like they prefer to go with more veteran players than younger guys. And this year, they're kind of going to be forced to go with a lot of guys who don't have that experience.
No doubt. Listen, so secondary coaches, number one thing, defend the deep area of the field. When mistakes happen in the secondary, guess what? Everybody knows it because they strike up the band and it's a touchdown for the bad guys.
All right. Very good. Gentlemen, I appreciate it. When we come back, I'm not sure what we're doing next, but we'll get something good. Come on back on the Sports Source.